Ozarks Fox News at 9.
Welcome to Ozarks Fox News at 9. And thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Jennifer Abreu.
And I'm John Adams. Let's get right to your top headlines this evening. These stories are real new now. Well, today is the 18th anniversary of the terror attacks of September the 11th, 2001. Americans from across the country came together to remember those lives lost today. Multiple events were held here in the Ozarks as well. We have full coverage of those coming up here in a few minutes.
2 guilty verdicts in Florida for the Chinese woman who breached security at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort earlier this year. Chinese businesswoman Yujing Zhang was convicted of unlawfully entering a restricted building and making false statements to a federal officer.
And the Trump administration is taking a step to combat the sudden illnesses and deaths linked to vaping. Under a new enforcement policy expected in the coming weeks, all flavored e-cigarettes other than tobacco flavor will have to be removed from the shelves. The products would remain off the market until they become approved by the FDA.
Making local news tonight, the weight of what this day brings every year means something a little different to everyone.
And people have their own way of memorializing those who lost their lives on this day 18 years ago. In Lebanon, there was no shortage of patriotism at their Never Forget event. Our Jesse Inman was there today. Jesse, we understand today was a unique gathering for members of that community.
Yeah, guys, that's right. Of course, they wanted to remember the first responders and the innocent people who died as a result of that terror attack. But in Lebanon a few weeks ago, there was an assault on patriotism at their courthouse when their giant flag that had hung there for decades was vandalized. And today, that community showed what it means to bounce back and pay tribute.
Today we gather together as a ceremony to never forget those who...
The feeling of heartbreak and sadness still resonate inside every American as this day rolls around every year. 9/11 was an unforgettable day, and today in Lebanon, Laclede County Commissioner Daryl Pollack dedicated a ceremony to first responders. He recalls 9/11 and the feeling in the days following.
And it was like America stood still. One of those things that everybody has where they can look back to what they were doing on that day. So if you were fortunate to be alive at that time and experience that, it was just a tremendous sense of patriotism and pride. And we just want to do that again and try to keep that memory alive here today.
The event featured Highway Patrol Trooper Steve Davis challenging citizens to defend their freedoms, but it was headlined by the gigantic symbol of freedom that waves in front of the courthouse. Back in July, somebody tested the patriotism of Lebanon citizens by burning and vandalizing the old flag there, but with money raised by the community, it's been replaced, and it flies once again. Speaking of flags flying, 20-year-old firefighter Austin Umstead was just a baby when 9/11 unfolded, but he's showing how much it meant to him by standing over I-44 all day long, waving Old Glory to remind people what today means.
9/11 is always a real important thing to me every year, so I wanted to do something different this year instead of just going to the memorial service or just kind of sitting around praying and thinking about stuff. So I figured I'd get out, be active in the community, just show them something we can always move on forward and hope it doesn't happen again.
Very nice way to bring smiles to people's faces on what is a dark day for many every year. Now, Laclede County raised a little over $8,000 to replace their original 30 by 50 flag with 2 30 by 60 flags, and they used half the money raised for those flags, and the rest will go towards the Laclede County Veterans Memorial Fund.
All right, Jesse, thanks. Great story. And here in Springfield, a first responders 9/11 memorial remembrance was presented by Klingner Cope Funeral Services. First responders were honored and recognized for their courage and bravery on this tragic day. Local police, firefighters, EMT, and paramedics, members of the military, and the general public were invited to attend.
And those who lost their lives in the terror attacks were also remembered today in a special ceremony at College of the Ozarks. It took place at the Lest We Forget 9/11 Memorial on C of O's campus. The ceremony included remarks by retired FBI agent John Legato, music from the C of O concert band, and the raising of the 9/11 National Remembrance Flag.
We have a follow-up story for you tonight. A man from Buffalo was found guilty of murder in the death of his former employer. This is 70-year-old Carol Ford. He was found stabbed to death in Buffalo in November of 2017. This afternoon, a judge decided Adam Redding was guilty of first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Carol Ford was stabbed 30 times and was found by his wife near a barn. It took 2 days of testimony before today's guilty verdict. Adam Redding himself also took the stand.
Okay, and there's a rifle. How close to the desk?
Within less than arm's reach from me.
Okay. Could you see the rifle?
Yes.
And was it in plain view?
Yes.
Okay. So when he began to reach for the rifle, what did you do?
I took my knife out.
Redding was immediately taken into custody. He will be sentenced on October 11th.
Well, the man accused of abusing an 8-year-old girl is claiming that her injuries were accidents.
Today was day 3 of Kenneth Davis's trial. He's charged with 7 counts of abuse or neglect of a child. A Greene County prosecutor asked Davis questions about the alleged abuse on the stand today.
Our Francis Lynn was in the courtroom all afternoon and has a summary of what happened.
She climbed out of her seatbelt and was jumping in the back of the van. I started yelling at her to get in the back of her seatbelt. Hadn't been listening and was just running amok because that's what her mother let her do.
Davis was cross-examined today. He claims that some statements in an interview last year that the prosecutor read off in court were entirely false. However, the interrogation detective, Jennifer Flood, also testified today.
Your testimony today is that the accident occurred as you were leaving the creek. She ran ahead of you and fell down in that brush.
Yes.
Now, isn't it true that you told Jennifer Flood that she had had the accident on the way to the creek?
No, that is not true.
And isn't it true that you also told Jennifer Flood that the reason why you went to go see your mother was because your mother was concerned that you were hitting on?
No, that is not true.
Okay.
He did tell me in the interview that she essentially told him over the phone that he better not be hitting on her.
You actually told Jennifer Flood that she was climbing fences and at some point over the fence was struck on her face by a limb.
I never once said she climbed fences.
You deny telling Jennifer Flood that she climbed fences. Okay.
And she had climbed one of the chain link fences in that area around the building, and that a tree branch had smacked her somewhere across her face.
Did you tell Jennifer Flood that in fact you did make her stand on her tippy toes with her arms raised and threaten to put tacks under her feet?
No, I did not.
You did not tell her that?
No, I did not.
Okay.
He did discuss that as being a punishment that he would use for her to stand up on her tippy toes, and that she believed that there would be tacks underneath her toes. He even went so far in the interview to describe to me that since he didn't actually use tacks underneath her heels of her feet, but that he would take his thumbnail and hold it underneath her heel so that if she were to drop down, she would feel something sharp and think it was tacks, and that would make her stand back up.
The trial will continue tomorrow morning with closing statements and jury deliberation. Francis Lynn, Ozarks First.
Well, we have a good traffic report for you tonight. The final phase of the Highway 65 rebuild is on track to wrap up just a little bit early. The northbound lanes could reopen as early as Saturday or Sunday evening. Crews have been working to repave lanes between Route 60 and Sunshine Street, and it was scheduled to be completed by September the 20th. While crews are ahead of schedule right now, MoDOT says weather and construction delays could be a possibility still yet.
Making local interest tonight, the McDonald's near Bass Pro that closed after a fire last year is getting ready to reopen. That fire badly damaged the restaurant back in July of 2018. The new and redesigned McDonald's will open this Friday at 7 a.m. with festivities. It will employ more than 100 former and new employees. The new building features a bright and modern cafe-like design.
To weather once again, any chance some relief is in the way. On the way.
Well, it's on the way. We only have to wait another like 24 to 36 hours, and it looks like we'll at least get a brief respite from this heat wave that we've been enduring. But the heat will be back later in the weekend. I'll have more on that after this break.
You're watching Ozarks Fox News at 9 with John Adams, Jennifer Abreu, and weather with Chief Meteorologist Jamie Warner.